Forget silly season, Chris Gabehart leaving Joe Gibbs Racing might be the biggest move of the year. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Breaking NASCAR news this Wednesday afternoon. You've probably seen some of the rumors percolating on social media in recent days. But today, reporter Jenna Fryer of the Associated Press confirmed that Joe Gibbs Racing competition director Chris Gabehart is no longer with the team. She wrote in a post today, quote, "During a break in court, I confirmed Chris Gabehart has left JGR. Denny Hamlin said he had no comment." Wow, so while it hasn't been confirmed, it's all but official. Chris Gabehart is gone. We don't know who may be replacing him at this point, but goodness gracious, it goes without saying, this is a huge, huge loss for Joe Gibbs Racing. This is the star college football head coach leaving the program when they're on the cusp of finally winning a national championship. Okay, maybe it's not that scandalous, but Chris Gabehart, I hesitate to say he revitalized Denny Hamlin's career, because I think Denny Hamlin himself deserves a ton of the credit for his success the past few seasons, his adaptability. But it's safe to say Chris Gabehart played a major role in Denny Hamlin's late career accomplishments. For example, let's pull up Denny Hamlin's numbers the 3 years before he teamed up with Chris Gabehart and compare them to his first 3 seasons with Chris Gabehart. 3 years without Gabehart, he was averaging 1.7 wins per season, a pretty good 12.0 average finish, but he never made it to the championship four. First 3 years with Chris Gabehart, 2019 to 2021, averaging 5 wins a year, a 9th place average finish, and 3 championship berths in a row. Those numbers were all pre-next gen, but even in the next gen era, Hamlin is top 5 in average finish, total wins, top 5 in laps led. Chris Gabehart was his crew chief in 2022, 2023, and 2024 as well. But as we all know, before the start of the 2025 season, Chris Gabehart moved off the pit box to take on the role of competition director of Joe Gibbs Racing, a move that surprised Denny Hamlin, that Hamlin questioned at the time, but clearly, if we look at the numbers, it was a move that benefited the entire company. Go back to 2024. JGR was shut out of the championship four completely. They were shut out of victory lane completely the entire second half of that season. JGR was nowhere near the top of their game. Chris Gabehart takes on the role of competition director, and in 2025, JGR won 13 races, including the All-Star race win. They also won the in-season challenge. They got 2 of their cars in the championship four, and 3 JGR Toyotas finished top 5 in points at the end of the season. 2025 was one of the strongest seasons in Joe Gibbs Racing's history, and I think Chris Gabehart stepping into the role of competition director had a lot to do with that. But now he's gone. We'll talk in a minute about where he might be going, because I do think that likely played a role in this decision. But based on some of what I've heard, as well as what I saw with my own 2 eyes for much of this past season, you gotta wonder if Chris Gabehart wasn't thrilled with his current role at JGR. Remember, this summer, he got called back to the pit box mid-season to try and coach Ty Gibbs and also coach rookie crew chief Tyler Allen. They brought Gabehart in as like their race strategist, but he was essentially co-crew chief for most of the summer. I remember that Michigan race in June, Ty Gibbs in contention for the win. It was a fuel mileage finish. Gibbs was being coached to save fuel so they could make it to the end. He finished 3rd, and after the race, Ty on the radio was upset. Felt like they gave a win away. Chris Gabehart had to come over the radio on the cooldown lap to calm Ty Gibbs down. And then I remember there was an incident, I think it was Watkins Glen, towards the end of the regular season, where Ty and Gabehart again were kind of snippy with each other over the radio. Then, of course, we all know about the playoff race at New Hampshire, the Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs drama, which I thought at the time was somewhat telling of the behind-the-scenes team dynamic. I can't imagine it was much fun for Chris Gabehart to lead those competition meetings, especially after the New Hampshire deal. So maybe, and again, most of this is speculation, but maybe Chris Gabehart wasn't in love with his current position at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think that's possible. But there's another possibility as well. Perhaps Chris Gabehart just got another offer from another team that was better. That was too good to turn down. If you've been scanning message boards or weaving through Twitter threads the past couple of weeks, it sounds like Spire Motorsports is the most likely rumored landing spot for Chris Gabehart. I've heard that behind the scenes as well from at least one person. So we'll see. I can't confirm anything here, but Gabehart to Spire does make a lot of sense. Spire is still a relatively young team. They're growing, they're ascending. Gabehart might be able to come in, take over the reins, and mold this organization the way he sees fit. This could be his chance to take control and lead something new and exciting. There's also the possibility that Spire offered Gabehart a really nice contract. They've been known to pay well in recent years, especially since their parent owner, TWG Global, invested in the organization. TWG Global, remember, also owns the Lakers, the Dodgers, Andretti, and numerous other major sports properties. We're talking billionaires with a capital B. In just the last couple of years, they took a chance on Carson Hocevar, promoted him straight to the Cup Series. They offered Michael McDowell a nice enough deal to lure him away from Front Row Motorsports. They brought in Rodney Childers. Sure, it didn't work out, but maybe Chris Gabehart is their next big gamble. For what it's worth, I did tweet today about, hey, Spire rumors are heating up, and I got a notification Carson Hocevar liked my tweet. He could just be trolling. That would be a very Carson Hocevar thing to do, but maybe that means something, maybe not. Figured I'd share it with y'all regardless. So we'll see what happens. For sure, Gabehart leaving Gibbs is a big loss for JGR. I mean, JGR is still going to be very competitive next season. I expect at least a couple of their drivers to be in championship contention per usual. They're going to win races, but this season, in 2025, for large stretches, JGR looked like the best organization, the team to beat. I think we mentioned Bell, Hamlin, and Briscoe at one point or another as the championship favorite. With Gabehart gone, I think it will be a little more challenging for the team next year. Just a little bit. Toyota, JGR, they've got plenty of resources. I think they'll still be very good. But if a team like Spire is able to pick up Chris Gabehart, that could make a huge, huge difference, no doubt. I think Spire makes a ton of sense. I think TWG, Spire, that whole group, I think they're growing impatient. They expect results, and they expect results to come quickly. I think 2025 was fairly disappointing for that organization. Sure, Michael McDowell went toe-to-toe with SVG the first half at Chicago before the car broke on him. Sure, Carson Hocevar was in contention at places like Atlanta, Michigan, Nashville, and others. But if you just look at the box score, Carson Hocevar had a much worse average finish than his rookie season. You look at where they finished in points, it was another mediocre Spire season. And once again, they made a driver swap on the 7. That's just the truth. I think last season was disappointing for that whole team. Can they turn things around in 2026? Is Chris Gabehart the key? I guess we'll all find out together if these rumors turn out to be true. For what it's worth, Carson Hocevar had 8 DNFs last year. 5 of them are listed as mechanical issues. You bring a guy like Gabehart in, you can clean some of those up. Carson Hocevar is a top 15 points guy next year, regardless of format, in my opinion. So we'll see. I think Chris Gabehart to Spire makes a ton of sense. Again, we'll see if those rumors turn out to be true. What we know for sure, though, Gabehart leaving Gibbs is a huge shakeup on the Toyota side of things. What do you think? Do you think Gabehart will end up at Spire Motorsports? If he does, What will his impact be? Do you believe there was any tension behind the scenes at JGR, or did Gabehart just get a better offer elsewhere? Maybe it's a bit of both. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. That's my reaction to today's breaking news. I want to hear yours. Leave a like as well while you're down there. Subscribe for more NASCAR news, rumors, content, commentary, and much, much more, all off season long. I really appreciate your support, and I appreciate those of you. Apparently YouTube is doing like their own Spotify Wrapped this year, and I've gotten a ton of messages and comments today from folks saying that this was one of their most viewed channels of the year, which really means a lot to me. I mean, part of it is I post a video every damn day. The sheer quantity of content, I'm sure it counts for something, but in all seriousness, I do really appreciate everyone who's tuned in the past year, who've been enjoying the videos, and if I ended up in your top 5, that's awesome. Let me know on Twitter, send me a message, leave a comment. I really appreciate your support this year, every year, all the time. Means a lot. I'll see you again real soon, folks. Have a great rest of your night.